The well-renowned Murphy's Law states that whatever can go wrong will go wrong. But most people have been misunderstanding this phrase over and over by associating it exclusively with a pessimistic way of viewing life. In their view, it means the one day you forget to carry an umbrella, it rains. The one morning you leave early for an appointment, the train breaks down, and the one time you skip saving your work, your computer crashes. However, that was never the intended point of the phrase. For us to genuinely grasp the positive perspective of this idea, we need to first step back and understand where it truly originated from. In 1949, US Air Force Colonel John Stapp was leading rocket sled tests at Edwards Air Force Base to study extreme G-force effects on the human body. Captain Edward Murphy, an engineer working on the project, supplied a set of strain gauges to measure harness loads during abrupt stops. After a test run returned zero data, the team discovered that every single gauge had been installed incorrectly by the technician. Frustrated, Murphy reportedly said, "If there are two or more ways to do something, and one of those results in a catastrophe, then someone will do it that way." Fellow engineers, amused by Murphy's irritation toward his own assistant, began calling the observation Murphy's Law as a joke. The now famous phrase, "anything that can go wrong will go wrong," was a later, simplified version popularized by Colonel Stapp during a press conference where he credited their safety record to anticipating Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law is a foundational principle of defensive design rather than a pessimistic complaint about bad luck. At its core, the law teaches us to accept human error as an inevitable variable in any system. This perspective drives the creation of foolproof systems where dangerous mistakes are physically or procedurally impossible to make. We should tune our mindset to avoid the lazy conclusion of human error and instead interrogates the design flaw that permitted the error to happen in the first place. By systematically testing products under extreme stress and treating every vulnerability as a guarantee of future failure, organizations can build checklists, standardization, and structures that adapt to human limitations rather than fighting against them. Complex systems naturally invite confusion. By standardizing components, tools, and processes, you reduce the cognitive load on operators and limit the number of unique decisions they have to make. When everything follows a predictable, uniform pattern, anomalies stand out instantly, making it much harder for an oversight to slip through unnoticed. Instead of promoting a defeatist attitude of everything is doomed, the philosophy of Murphy's Law places absolute existential responsibility on the creator. It rejects the concept of bad luck or freak accidents, framing these excuses as a lazy evasion of personal accountability. When a disaster occurs, the fault lies not with a cruel universe, but with the designer who failed to anticipate the universe's nature. Machiavelli, in his book, The Prince, wrote, "I realize that many people have believed and still do believe that the world is run by God and by fortune, and that however shrewd men may be, they can't do anything about it and have no way of protecting themselves. As a result, they may decide that it's hardly worth making an effort and just leave events to chance. All the same, and so as not to give up on our free will, I reckon it may be true that luck decides the half of what we do, but it leaves the other half more or less to us. It's like one of those raging rivers that sometimes rise and flood the plain, tearing down trees and buildings, dragging soil from one place and dumping it down in another. Everybody runs for safety. No one can resist the rush. There's no way you can stop it. Still, the fact that a river is like this doesn't prevent us from preparing for trouble when levels are low, building banks and dikes so that when the water rises the next time, it can be contained in a single channel and the rush of the river in flood is not so uncontrolled and destructive." Machiavelli is arguing that, although many people believe life is governed by fortune or higher powers beyond human control, this belief can easily lead to fatalism, where individuals stop making serious efforts because they assume outcomes are ultimately decided by chance. In this view, rapid and unpredictable changes in the world reinforce the idea that even the most intelligent actions may be powerless, pushing people toward the conclusion that it is safer or more rational to simply let events unfold on their own. However, he rejects complete resignation by proposing a balanced relationship between fortune and human agency. While luck may govern a large portion of outcomes, a significant part still depends on human preparation and action. He illustrates this through the metaphor of a river that cannot be stopped when it floods, but can be controlled in advance by building defenses during calmer periods. In this sense, unpredictability is not an argument for inaction, but a reason to prepare strategically so that when chaos arrives, its impact can be contained rather than total destruction.